3 to 6. Right this minute, you are listening to KPFT Houston, 90.1 FM, and kpft.org.
Support for this show, Politics Done Right, comes from politicsdoneright.com, publishers of How to Make America Utopia, Take Away the Economy from Those Who Rigged It, As I See It, Class Warfare, The Only Resort to Right-Wing Doom, It's Worth It, How to Talk to Your Right-Wing Relatives, Friends, and Neighbors, and other books written by Egberto Willis. Welcome to Politics Done Right. My name is Egberto Willis, your host. Good morning, Houston. Good morning, Harris County. Good morning to the great state of Texas. Good morning to Northeast Texas, Southeast Texas, Northwest Louisiana, Southwest Louisiana, and every nook and cranny receiving our signals, or 100,000-watt signals permeated from Caroline, well, actually close to Caroline, into these little magical boxes known as radios. And good morning to the rest of the world who we reach via what again? The magic of the internet, formerly known as ARPANET, and created by your tax dollars, created by your intellect, the intellect of the masses over the decades and decades of intellect growing through the collective. Not by the billionaires, but by you. Hey, guess what, guys? Elected, I should say, another country, once again, Thailand, elected Pait Nogatan Shinawatra as their new prime minister, a woman. We, the country that claims to be the land of the free, where everybody has equal access to success. Everybody has some level, or we all have the same level of equality. We have yet to elect a person from the largest group in the country, a woman. Think about that. We pat ourselves on the back. We talk about how great we are. Yet, from whence life is birthed, we have yet to elect a woman. Argentina has, Brazil has, Costa Rica has, well, kinda, it's a different story there. But country after country, England, Great Britain has, Finland has, pero los Estados Unidos, the United States, not yet. We got a lot to talk about, folks, but before we get there, let's pass it on to the studio in Carolina, on Caroline. Hey, how you doing? The geniuses in the studios that really make things happen.
Ladies and gentlemen, prepare yourself for another great day of broadcasting, radio broadcasting from 4504 Caroline in Houston, Texas. And good morning, Egberto.
Good morning, my brother.
I have to use my radio voice every now and then.
And it sounds pretty good. Hey, you better watch out, because you're going to have all the women around Houston running on to Caroline, and you gave the address, and they're going to be knocking that door. I want that voice. I want that voice.
They will be sorely disappointed when they get here.
I don't think so.
Hey,
the white Barry White. I like that. I like that. I like that.
Hey, before we get started, we've got a reminder here that we are in Fund Drive. We are gathering up funds for our operations for the next 3 months, and we'd like to hear from you at 713-526-5738. And we'd also like to hear from Sandy too. Sandy, have you got your coffee ready to go?
Oh yeah, it's going.
All right. What you got for us this morning?
Good morning, folks. It's day number 2 of our summer cruise fund drive, and I want to thank everybody that stepped up yesterday, and thank all our volunteer programmers for once again shouldering the responsibilities for getting you to consider that call at 713-526-5738 with a touch of option 1, or click at that mouse at kpft.org on the old donate button and help us toward our $75,000 goal, which we hope to achieve by next Sunday, a week from Sunday. It all comes down and we fold things up and proceed till October, when our next call for funding will occur. But right now, let's focus on the road in front of us, and one call at a time. 713-526-5738, option 1. Consider joining us as a sustainer. $5 a month, $10 a month, whatever it is you can take out of your budget. Speaking of coffee, Howard, a $10 a month pledge gets you a cup, a Caroline Street cup, and a pound of Caroline Street coffee beans, courtesy of Lola Savannah, who has even private labeled our coffee beans with a KPFT coffee bag. So all that comes your way for $10 a month. Please support us. Again, 713-526-5738. And good morning. Glad you asked that question.
Hey, well, look, good morning, Sandy.
Roberto.
Great to hear. Yeah, great to hear everybody. Let me see. Before we get started with the show, and by the way, we have a great show for you today. Yes, we're in Fun Drive, but we also have a great show. So let's go ahead and hear what Brother Jack has to say this morning.
Well, it's hippy dippy, subversive free speech radio for peace. Listener supported, volunteer ran, community minded, KPFT 90.1. Please donate. And as far as my wisdom,
Yeah, we want to hear that.
man, Trump represents everything that's wrong in politics: deception of the public, manipulation of the law, and corruption and bribery. You've heard the saying, the ends support the means. Well, in politics, we cannot be about any means to meet diabolical ends. Make no mistake about this. The corporate means to dominate the people, and Trump's the tool they're using to do it.
I always love that word diabolical.
Diabolical.
I always think of Batman, what diabolical plot is Batman going to battle today? But yeah, you're right on there, man.
Let me give you guys a thing, because you hear the word diabolical. In English, it doesn't sound all that. You kind of like, "Ooh, diabolical." Well, in Spanish, the number or the name of the devil is Diablo. Diablo,
Yeah.
Diabo. So that's where that diabolical thing come about. But anyway, I want to go ahead and give a big salute to Melanie Keelan in Barcelona, Spain, who is listening to us in the afternoon, which is the afternoon or close to the afternoon. I think they're 7 hours ahead, so maybe early afternoon in Barcelona, Spain. Look, the title of the show today, it's an important program, and I am going to get to an 11-minute video that I need to have everybody listen to. Watch it. So the title of the show is, and hey, Egberto, what's the title of the show? You are not on the title of the show. You are on the wrong story. So before I give you the title of the show, I'm going to go to John so I can pull my confounded Substack newsletter up to actually equate the show. John, come on in on line number 1.
Hey, I called in right on time. Wednesday, I renewed my subscription to KPFT, and when they asked me what program, I named your program because it is the latest program. I listen to the blues on Sundays, but your program is more not a subscription but a prescription, because it heals me. It allows me to call in, and what I like about it is that you don't allow people to just spew lies. You stop them, and that's so important. The truth is so important. Nowadays, I think back how I grew up in this country with banderas y fronteras in my way, and all the lies since I was a little kid, all the lies I learned in school that I was told. And this program refreshes that. It makes me feel great about the little education that I have, but I use it wisely, and so I want to thank you, KPFT, for being where you are, and especially your program for being a savior of the truth. You are truly the Obi-Wan Kenobi of radio. So I thank you for that.
Wow.
And that's what I have for you, man, this morning.
I appreciate that, and thank you so kindly for your contribution to the station, my brother. And I'm a black Latino Caribbean man. If I were white, I would be blushing like how Howard would be blushing right now. But I can't, you can't see my blush, man. But thank you so kindly for those kind words, my brother.
All right. Have a good morning, man. All of y'all.
You too. Thank you, sir. Hey, on top of it, we also have on the chat Sharkula Hairstylist is here with us today, and Sharkula made sure to let us know that she's a part of the team as well. And Liz Townsend is in the house as well from Houston. Welcome aboard, Liz Townsend, for being in the chat. So the title of the show is Stephen Rattner Takes Down a Lion Trump, Ron Insana on Trump v. Biden, and Media, Do Your Job. And I have a piece that I hope I get a chance to cover, depending on how much we do here. But here's the deal. Before I play that video, I have a serious ask, and I ask you to do it ahora mismo, right now. Please support our station via Politics Done Right. We need your support. We cannot do this without you in these difficult times. Look, I am humbled by what John just said, but he said something that is very important, and that is we have been lied to for a very long time, and it isn't just mere lies. It is by design. We've spoken about the Powell memo here and why it is designed that we're lied to. It's a way of keeping us under wraps. It's a way of controlling us. You don't get the income inequality that you get in this country unless people are lied to and think that the current system as it stands is the only way. It is divine. Only knowledge will move us forward, and that is what most people fear. That's what the heads of our system fear, that we become knowledgeable. And we can only do that if we have the freedom to tell you that. And we only get the freedom to tell you that if we have access to the airwaves and the interwebs and all these different ways to get the info, get the messages to you. And we can only do that with some cash, with some money, with dinero. And it's not going into the pockets of Egberto Willis. It's not going into the pockets of Sandy Wyman. It's not going into the pockets of Howard Reynolds. It's not going into the pockets of Jack Van Beba. It is going to pay the high electric bills for that 100,000 watt transmitter. It's going to pay the electric bill to run the studio that right now Jack Van Beba and Howard is sitting in. It goes to ensure that we can keep all the avenues up and running. So while you can sit in your car and your home and enjoy the great music that you don't hear anywhere else that we provide you here at KPFT, while you can sit at your home and listen to a Politics Done Right, a Hugh Talk, all these other programs that give you a diversity of opinion, gives you the ability to call in and be a part, give you the ability to say, you know what, I own KPFT. I am one of the many who support KPFT. And I want KPFT around because I want to be a part of this family where we can learn together. It does cost. And I am asking you kindly, respectfully, honestly, to give us a call at 713-526-5738, extension number 1, and contribute whatever you can. Whatever you can. Right now, we are on a move asking people to give us sustainers. That way we can budget better. We can have better control of our cash flow. And how is that done? You can say, you know what? If I saw Egberto on the road, I wouldn't mind giving him a coffee. And if I see him another month, I wouldn't mind giving him a coffee. We're asking, you won't miss a $5 a month, but a $5 a month that means nothing to you means the world to us, because we can get several hundred, thousands, well, we hope thousands of people giving $5 or $10 or $15 a month. And if we can get that, something that you don't feel, but makes an impact on what you hear. And by the way, you're not just doing this for you. You know, I strongly believe in the collective. I strongly believe in I am my brother's and sister's keeper. We like to teach a rugged individualism, but I can't stand alone. You can't stand alone. Howard can't stand alone. Jack can't stand alone. We all need each other, whether we like it or not. The collective. And we have to be able to promote a message about the collective, a message about, I need my brother, I need my sister. I do. I can't stand alone. We can't stand alone. KPFT can't stand alone. So I ask kindly, please support us, ensure that we can continue this work. 713-526-5738, extension number 1. Please remember to tell them that your contribution is in the name of Politics Done Right. It doesn't come to me, it goes to the station, but it's a way to tag to ensure that it goes to tag to the appropriate shows. 713-526-5738, extension number 1. Folks, I'm going to pitch for another minute or so you can do it now and not miss you won't miss the video that I'm about to play at all. 713-526-5738. Call now and go ahead and make that contribution now. $5 a month, $10 a month, or if you just want to give a one-time contribution, that is fine as well. But please do it now. I'm going to take, before I go to the video, I'm going to take the 2 calls that are up. And while I'm taking those 2 calls, you can call in now and make that. I want to be able to thank you on air. After I got off air, I got a contribution and I didn't write it down, and I would have loved to thank that person. I didn't write it down, but I'll get it later on. We'll send a card later on. We'll thank later on. But I want to thank you on air. 713-526-5738. Let's go to Brother Steve.
Hey, happy Friday, brothers and sisters, Brother Egberto.
Happy.
Just want to let you know. Oh, gotcha. Thank you. We're our household, small household, but we're double sustainers. I just received our KPFT thermos like a couple weeks ago from the last drive, and just wanted to let everybody know that help support their community radio station and put the unity in community. And had a question after that.
Thank you, my brother. I appreciate that pitch. Go ahead and give me your question, my brother.
So I've been paying attention, studying Donald Trump for, since the 90s, so 30 years or so. My question is he more of a bird or a dog? So if he's a bird, he'd be like a felonious, old, weird liar, which spells foul, right? Or if he's a dog, he'd be like a weird, old lion felon, which spells woof. For the listeners out there, pick one. Which one is he more like? And my other question is, if I lean towards the bird side, what kind of bird doesn't fly?
I'm gonna let you answer that one, Steve. What kind of bird doesn't fly? I remember the dodo, but I don't think the dodo is in existence anymore. And I think a penguin, but the penguin don't fly, but it jumps from high cliffs. So I don't know.
Yeah, it's a jailbird. A jailbird don't fly.
Oh, you got me. That's a good one. That is a good one. The jailbird doesn't fly. Okay, Steve, you win the joke of the day. All right.
It's happy Friday. We'll see you next week.
Thank you, my brother. Appreciate you. All right, let's go to Sister Betty. Come on in, Betty. How you doing this morning? Sister Betty, you're on. Okay. Maybe Betty's on mute. Okay, Betty, we're going to put you on hold and go to Harry and then come back to you, Betty. Come on in, Harry.
Good morning, El Professor Alberto Willis. Good morning to Howard. Good morning to Magic Jack. And good morning to Santee. Let's all continue to pitch in and keep KPFT going. Politics Done Right. John is right. We have to keep this show going. I'm going to piggyback off of something that Steve just mentioned there about the bird and it being flower. Remember the movie, the Al Pacino version of Scarface?
Yes.
You remember that movie, right?
Yes, yes.
Remember when he was Robert Loggia's character, Frank Lopez, was teaching him about he said something in Spanish. He said, "You know what a hossa is?" And Frank, this is after he had taught him this. Later, when he went to get rid of Frank, because Frank wanted to get rid of him, Tony Montana, when he said, "That's a pig that don't fly straight. Neither does Donald Trump." Well, how do you feel about that, Roberto? Is that Donald Trump?
Well, I mean, you guys are just making me laugh this morning, and I appreciate that. You know, it was a rough night.
Well, I'm sorry you
Hey.
have a rough. Oh, I haven't asked you in a while. How's Laura doing, and how's Ashley doing?
Ashley and Linda, they're doing great. I appreciate you asking about them. Linda has recovered mostly. Still have a little
Linda.
thing from yeah, that's okay. That's okay. Linda's recovered from the shingles.
Okay.
Ashley every day is getting better and stronger. So I do appreciate you asking about that, Harry. Let me jump to Betty.
They got my
And
I
you
got my
tell your
question.
brother.
There's some more things I want to say, but I'll have to tell them to you another day.
All right,
Take
thank
care.
you, Harry. I appreciate you, brother. All right, let's go to Sister Betty. Come on in, Betty.
Good morning, Alberto. Thank you for the honor of being your sister.
Well, thank
what I
you,
wanna
Betty.
say about what I want to say is about a woman being a leader. Kamala would never put herself in place of a man. When hitting a man would be putting yourself in place of a man. She has a woman instinct, and she has the sense of good and bad. And God, I don't know, name off what we do with everything in our life. Kindness and loveness. And the best thing of all is seeing a mother and a darling child working each other. You could watch that every day. But for her, when you give a woman a job, she becomes the best, or among the best. And on Donald Trump, they hacked into his thing, and he's calling her the B word. And he just can't stand that she had such a big crowd. So he's thinking, in his funny and sick way, that only way she can draw a crowd like that is because she's a bitch dog. But anyway, thumbs up to Sandy. Love you all. Have a good day.
Betty, before you go, I want to say something. Oh, did she hang up already? Okay, well, let me still answer Betty about women. Betty, during the pandemic, and again, women, it's not that women are smarter than men or men are smarter than women or anything like that. But whenever you are from a group that has to work twice as hard, 3 times as hard, 10 times as hard to get your recognition, it makes a difference. And you tend to overperform. Why is Tiger Woods the best golfer? Because he was discriminated against, and he had to be that much better to go ahead and be who he was. Why people don't understand that pressures make things better a whole lot of times, and then people wonder, well, why the hell are you better? Women, I always said it is time for, if we got more women involved in the leadership in our politics right now, it would be that much better, because the overperformance would be astounding. And you know how we know that for a fact? Look at where women have been in leadership. The countries that were controlled by women during the pandemic did better than the countries that were controlled by men who had a lot of other things. One of the biggest problems with Trump is, oh, he didn't want to mess with it because it'll make him look bad. The nurturing spirit that women had to have had mitigated that. Ask the prime minister of, I think it's New Zealand, and all these other countries that did much better. Anyway, the calls are coming in, but we don't have the calls on money. So before I get to Patrick, I'm going to throw it to Sandy for a pitch. Then I'm going to come back to Patrick. Then I'm going to go do the video that everybody must hear. But I ask you kindly to go to call 713-526-5738, 713-526-5738. Please contribute to the program to ensure that we can continue doing what we're doing. Or you can go to kpft.org, $5 a month, $10 a month, $20 a month. Please help us keep this thing going. Sandy?
Yeah, good morning, Egberto. A lot of
Good
phone
morning, my
calls this
brother.
early in the morning, which is great. I mean, people are queuing up. And yeah, you keep people sane at 6 o'clock by allowing this conversation to continue on KPFT, but KPFT cannot exist without the funds to pay the bills. So that's why we're here this morning, trying to gather up enough money to make it to October, where our next fund drive will occur. It's the way it's been for 54 and a half years. We continue to operate this station with one full-time employee and a large group of volunteers that come down and do their thing. It's really a wonderful thing to watch during the week, especially from my perspective, not having to say much of anything. People just know what to do, where to go, and how to do their program without too much supervision or guidance. And they're being really good stewards of your money in terms of taking care of the property, taking care of the signal, taking care of Houston, and continuing this grand experiment in Houston Community Radio. Folks, we have a really special thank you gift this time around. It's one of a kind, it's handmade, it's homemade, and that is Nuri Nuri, who will be sitting on a large boat on September 28th for 3 hours, along with a whole group of KPFT listeners. And we're going to have our first ever blues cruise on Clear Lake. You can join in the fun and support KPFT at the same time. We invite you to look at kpft.org, where there's a video about this experience made by Nuri. And you can also look at our social media, Facebook, if you so choose. Again, that video is up there, along with a couple of other videos explaining other thank you gifts. But this one, a 3-hour tour on Clear Lake. Tom Richards constructed a wonderful theme song for it, which if you listen all day, you will probably hear again today at some point. We ask you to join in on this cruise. It's one ticket is a $150 pledge, or just join as a sustainer. Make it easy, $12.50 a month. $12.50 a month. I went through the drive-through at my local That's a Burger the other day and picked up a sandwich, a fowl sandwich, if you will, and that little meal cost me about that much, about $12.50. Unbelievable, but that's where we are. KPFT, it feels the effects of inflation too. And when you chime in, you go on that boat with Nuri and listen to the blues for 3 hours and have a good time with your fellow listeners on that September 28th afternoon, you will realize just what we're dealing with here. And that is a group of like-minded people that need to have community radio, unbiased, unfettered, commercial-free, and with the ability to air programming like Politics Done Right and other great programs that simply would not have a home anywhere on the dial. You would not hear Egberto elsewhere in Houston on the airwaves, but for KPFT. So support what you love, support what you're listening to, support all of Houston, and continue this 54 and a half year tradition. We invite you again to call 713-526-5738. You hit option 1. Say you want a ticket for the Blues Cruise, if that's your bent. There's also T-shirts and the thermos that was referenced by the previous caller. $10 a month is a coffee, Caroline Street coffee cup and a pound of coffee beans to go with it. But please do join us as a sustainer. One of the reasons I make this request is, well, let me give you a couple reasons. First, it does make it so much easier to navigate the monthly bills when we know we have a baseline of support coming in. And when we started the drive, we had 1,270 members. providing a monthly sustaining membership totaling almost $23,000. Now, our needs are $52,000 a month or thereabouts. So if a few more of you pile on, add to that total, well, as soon as we get to the halfway point, which is another, $3,000 a month, about half our monthly needs. Next year at this time, well, the summer cruise, that'll be in the rearview mirror, and hopefully we will be down to 3 drives a year, and so on and so forth. But that sustaining membership, it's making a difference. It's allowing KPFT continue with grace and with ease that we didn't have before. So please consider that. Join in. And Egberto, thank you for what you do. Howard, Jack, getting up so early in the morning, making sure the tin cans and string are well connected and functioning so that we could all join in on Politics Done Right. 713-526-5738, option 1, or kpft.org, and click that donate button. Back to you, Egberto.
Thank you very much for that, Sandy. Thank you very much. One more time, folks, 713-526-5738. Hit extension number 1. Again, we'd love to have those sustainers, $5 a month, $10 a month. Again, something that you don't even miss, but it means a whole lot to us. Could you do that right now? I'm going to go speak to Patrick now. And while we're talking, give us a call. It only takes about 2 minutes max to go ahead and get all this stuff done. And I can get a chance to thank you on air. I really want to do that. 713-526-5738, extension number 1. And don't forget, folks, you can also do it online while you're listening to the conversation between Patrick and myself. You can do it online, kpft.org. Hit the donate button, select Politics Done Right as a program you're supporting, and let's get busy. And you know what? Think about it. You're going to feel, we're looking for first timers as well. If you have lapsed for some time, come on back into the fold. But first timers as well, that's been listening to the show for a long time, that's been listening to KPFT for a long time, go ahead and click that button. And if you haven't given before, I can tell you, you're going to feel the ownership that you have in this station. Every time you write and turn the radio on this station or stream it or however you get it, you're going to feel that sense of agency, that sense of belonging, that sense of I am a part of that team that is bringing that. I am part of that team that is bringing that. Let's go to Patrick. 713-526-5738. Extension number 1. Come on in, Patrick. You're on, Patrick.
Good morning. I think I figured out why Mr. Reynolds calls these folks that don't have our interests in mind rats.
Talk to me, my brother.
Rats are not indigenous. Yeah, rats are not indigenous to the United States. They don't belong here. Point 2, they wreck their environment for their own benefit. Point 3, they're a major driver of extinction. Point 4, the females don't live very long. The males live a full life, but the females don't live very long because they're perpetually pregnant. They actually die typically from their body actually getting worn out from perpetual birth.
Duplication, yeah.
Yeah, which is what is starting to look like what the Republicans have in mind for women. Next up, I'd like to move on to the comment about jailbird Trump. It's occurring to me. I saw a contrast between the number of offices that Kamala opened for elections and what Trump has opened. It's something like 10 to 1.
Yeah.
Which is interesting. He's not putting his money in his campaign, and what a lot of people speculate is that money is going towards lawyers and legal fees.
Mm-hmm.
He hasn't paid those legal fees, and he's paying over $100,000 a day, I believe, in interest because he won't pay them. Speculation is he can't, but he's taking voters' money, and he's trying to stay out of jail with it. And it's occurred to me too that his absolute desperation and the fact that he's been falling apart the last couple of weeks he's not running for the people, and he's not even running probably because he has an interest in running the country. He's running because that's the only way he's going to stay out of prison. He's breaking down. He's emotional because he understands that if he does not win this presidency, he's probably going to jail.
Yeah. There's another thing to think about, and he may be thinking that he's going to go to Venezuela as well. I'm kidding. He said he was going to do that if he didn't win, but I'm kidding. But anyway, Patrick, I got a video to play that's important, and I want to. We'll talk tomorrow, but I want to suggest that people go. Yeah, thank you, Patrick. As usual, good info. Look, I didn't know about the rats being, not be. Yeah, go ahead, real quick.
I was going to say, I can offer that $250 for breakfast, but it's on a contingency that Augie goes, Donald goes, and Harry goes. So
you
if
know
those
what?
three guys agree to go, I'll pledge it, or I'll pay it next week. All they have to do is agree.
I agree. Anything to help our station, I agree. So you got it. You send KPFT that $250, Patrick, and all of us will sit down and have some coffee, okay?
Sounds great.
All right, brother. Appreciate you, man. All right. Anyway, so you guys heard what Patrick promised, and I acquiesced. So therefore, that's going to be in next week sometime. All right, let's go ahead and call folks. Please, I do need your support. And right now I'm at a big donut. 713-526-5738. By the way, donut mean zero. Nobody cares about the show as it stands right now. You're telling me you don't like me. Oh my God, I'm going to die. You're telling me that you don't appreciate the show. Oh my God, I know better. I'm looking at these numbers and you guys are listening, folks. I know that. And I know you're liking and wanting to participate. For those of you that times are hard, I get it. But for those of you who can, I ask kindly, respectfully, and honestly, please give us a call at 713-526-5738, extension number 1. $5 a month, $10 a month, $15 a month, whatever you can. A one-time donation, whatever you can. Or do it at kpft.org. Please remember to tell them this is for Politics Done Right, or go ahead and pull down Politics Done Right from the drop-down box. Here is the video, and then I'll be right back. Steve Rattner did it again. A few weeks ago, Steve Rattner did a comparison to show that what Donald Trump has been saying about his economy was actually false. Well, he did it again today, but he did it a lot more intense, a lot better, because of a speech Donald Trump gave where he claimed that 1, his economy was better, 2, he created more jobs, 3, that crime rates were better under him, and somehow migrant crime is terrible, and 4, that somehow the oil that we were oil independent before, and that Joe Biden went ahead and screwed it up. He actually said that. And what Steve Rattner did is Steve Rattner did some analysis. He looked at the economy. He took out the effects of COVID and he left the effects of COVID in to show that Biden's economy, whether you include COVID or not, was much better than Donald Trump's economy. Take out COVID. The jobs, Biden created a whole lot more jobs with COVID or without COVID. When it comes to the amount, the GDP, how much the economy created, the strength of the economy, whether you include COVID or you take COVID out, Biden's economy was a lot stronger when you did that. When it comes to oil sufficiency, when it comes to that, Biden, again, under Biden, America first became, since the 50s, became energy independent, as opposed to under Trump, where it never was when it comes to oil. So when it comes to the crime rate, same thing applies. So as it turns out, Donald Trump is always looking in a mirror. And when he accuses someone of something else, it is whatever he's accusing that person of, it is Trump who has that deficiency. So he was deficient in the economy. He was deficient in job creation. He was deficient in oil drilling. He was deficient in as well, crime, controlling crime. And all of these numbers are available for all to see. So those people who you see constantly talk about, the reason I am voting for Trump, he's a bad guy. I know that Trump is a bad guy. I know that. But I'm voting for Trump because the economy was better under Trump. The money was better. No, we'll talk about that on the other side, why you're voting for Trump. But check this out.
During his speech in North Carolina yesterday, Donald Trump made several false claims about the economy and what he accomplished during his time in office. First up, here is what Donald Trump said yesterday about the economy during his administration.
We had the strongest economy in history. There's never been a country that had an economy like us. I gave Harris and Biden an economic miracle, and they quickly turned it into an economic nightmare.
See, this is an oft-repeated claim by Donald Trump that he had the strongest economy of all time, and now he's adding he handed Joe Biden an economic miracle. What's the truth about that?
Not only did he not have the strongest economy of all time, he didn't even have the strongest economy of the last two presidents, himself and Joe Biden. And so let's take a look at some of the facts here. First, the best measure of an economy is its growth rate, a GDP growth rate. And so when you compare the two, and I have adjusted out COVID in fairness to both presidents, although you see it doesn't actually change the picture, Trump grew his economy at a rate of about 2.6% a year, which is actually not a bad rate. And that excludes COVID. Biden grew his economy, has grown so far his economy at 3.5% a year. If you take out the effects of COVID, the disparity is even greater. So I've done this as honestly as I can do, and no matter how you do it, it doesn't come out in Trump's favor, even against Biden, let alone against 5,000 years of other economies around the world. Secondly, you can look at jobs. That's a very important thing in an economy, obviously, to Americans. And again, I've adjusted out the effects of COVID. 182,000 jobs on average a month created by Trump. 271,000 jobs on average created by Biden. Again, if you take out COVID, the disparity is far greater. So that is one of his most preposterous claims.
Yeah, the numbers don't lie, and he has made that point. We were cooking along, and then COVID came, and that's not my fault. We can talk about that more, of how he handled COVID. But even adjusted for COVID, you're saying Joe Biden has had the better economy. All right, let's move on to energy. This is former President Trump talking yesterday about American oil production and energy independence.
We were energy independent 4 years ago. Think of it. Today, we're getting energy from Venezuela in the form of tar.
Steve, what do the numbers show?
Well, first of all, we were never energy independent under Donald Trump. In fact, we really haven't been energy independent going back until sometime before 1950. You can see that the amount of oil imports that we had during Trump did in fact decline. This is part of a long progression that goes back to the mid-2000s. It's nothing that he particularly did. It continued under Biden, and lo and behold, the first time we have been energy independent as it applies to oil was in 2023 under Biden's presidency, when we actually exported a bit more oil than we imported. Now, Trump is hung up on Venezuela. I'm not exactly sure why. He usually likes dictators. In this case, he seems to not like it as much. It is a fact, as Trump said, that Venezuelan oil is bad oil. It's very heavy. It's very polluting. But look what happened to Venezuelan oil imports over the last 7.5 years. Under Trump, we averaged 10.3 million barrels of Venezuelan oil a day coming into this country. Under Biden, we're down to 1.7 million barrels a day of Venezuelan oil. So the idea that somehow Biden is the one who brought in all this Venezuelan oil is absolutely directly contradicted by the numbers.
As is often the case, exactly the opposite is true of what Donald Trump says. In fact, we are not running on Venezuelan tar. Okay, let's talk about migrant crime. Donald Trump yesterday in North Carolina went on a tangent about what he claims is a surge in migrant crime. Here's what he said.
They all said I was wrong when I said that migrant crime will reach epidemic proportions. And now it's much worse than that. It's a lot worse than epidemic proportions. It's beyond control. We have a new category of crime. It's called migrant crime. And I think it's going to end up being the worst category of all.
All right, Steve, what does the data show?
Well, you know, it was supposed to be an economic speech, but he can't help himself, and he has to get off into things like migrants and immigration and the border and crime and all that kind of stuff. But once again, the facts are not quite what he said. First, let's just talk about crime crime in general. He likes to think the country's in the middle of some crime wave. That is actually not true. Violent crime per 100,000 people has dropped 26% under Joe Biden, from an average of 398 per 100,000 people down to 294. What is even more amazing is that it in fact ended Trump's administration slightly higher than when it began, or certainly at best, most favorably. You can't see any improvement under Trump's administration. All the improvement has been under the Biden administration. Now, there's the fallacy of migrant crime. If you read the New York Post, you'd think, of course, all crime was committed by migrants. But in fact, we've talked about this, I think, before, but it's really quite dramatic. If you break crime down between native-born Americans, documented immigrants, and undocumented immigrants, you can see that native-born American crime rate is actually higher than it is for documented immigrants and way higher than it is for undocumented immigrants. That's true whether you look at violent crime, whether you look at property crime, when you look at drug violations. The fact is, immigrants actually commit fewer crimes than Americans. And for the undocumented immigrants, it's not totally surprising. They don't want to get sent back to wherever they came from, so they tend to behave themselves better than a lot of Americans and a lot of documented immigrants. So this is a complete fiction that Donald Trump has created.
So as you can see, everything that Trump said made him a better president, or why you should vote for him, for the economy, for jobs, for oil, for crime. Everything that he claimed the Biden-Harris administration failed at, it is actually what he failed at. And again, the data is there, but you know who else knows that data? Anybody with a 401k also knows that data. That person with a 401k knows that data because his or her 401k has zoomed up. So there's another reason they're voting for Donald Trump, and it has little to do with your economic sufficiency, with criminality or anything like that, because the biggest criminal actually is, in fact, Donald Trump. But you have to look on the inside to see why these people still, after it's been proven that Donald Trump was a failure on all these things they claim the reason for which they're voting for him, that they're still voting for him, then it means that the same proclivity, the racist, xenophobic, misogynist, sexist behavior of Trump is something that they condone, or even maybe a bit worse, something that they are a part of. We have to be honest here. You can't tell me you're voting for Donald Trump for economic reasons, even though you know he's a bad man, even though you know what he does to women, even though you know what he does to the working class. You can't be voting for this guy under those pretenses at all. You're not fooling yourself. You're not fooling anybody else. You're voting for Trump because of, and you fill that blank in, but it sure as hell isn't because of your personal economy. Let's be clear. A vote for Trump tells your own kids a little bit something about you. It tells your daughters that you don't mind supporting a man who abuses them, who holds them by their crutches, who does all these things to them. You don't mind that. You don't mind your son if he decided to go out there and rape a woman or sexually assault a woman or something of that nature, because you found it in your heart that you could actually vote for the most powerful position in the world, a sexist, racist, misogynist felon. You felt it was okay to vote for that person. It's you who have to live with that. Anybody who votes for that as president of the United States. Absolutely so, and I stand by absolutely every statement there. You have to look yourself in the mirror having kids and say, I am willing to put a misogynist in that White House. I am willing to put somebody who thinks lowly of women in the White House. I am willing to put somebody who abuses women at the same time. I tell my son not to. Does that make any sense? Hey, we've got the first person that gave a quite kind contribution. Jimmy Dunn, thank you so kindly for your support of KPFT via Politics Done Right. We cannot or could not do it without your kind contribution. Will you join Jimmy, my dear brothers and sisters, and call 713-526-5738? Extension 1. And why don't you say, I can give $5 a month. I can give $10 a month. I can give $20 a month, $15 a month, or I can give this one-time contribution so that we can continue to feed our minds with a program like Politics Done Right. Before I go to Brian, and Brian, you're going to get your time, my brother. Let's go to Sandy back into the studio.
Thank you, Egberto. And no, thank you for the video that you played. I think it sums it up very nicely. And Jimmy, thank you for getting us started on this beautiful morning here in Houston, Texas. Day number 2 of our summer cruise fun drive. We got that one pledge in. We'd like to get a couple more so that we have at least 3 pledges for this program. Don't you think it's worth it to throw a few dollars a month KPFT's way, or maybe a one-time pledge? After all, this is your community radio station. We've been around, 54 and a half years in Houston, Texas, a long time if you consider the length or the life of many, many other media sources in Houston. Not too many have survived this long on the FM airwaves or even the AM airwaves. And it's all thanks to the listening public, who has realized all along that without their donations, well, there's no KPFT. So think of it this way. For 54 and a half years, the support provided allows you to hear us this morning, allows you to call in and join in the community conversation today. 713-526-5738, option 1. Or kpft.org, and a click of the donate button. There is a Politics Done Right t-shirt. Egberto, is that a $100 donation to KPFT?
Yes, sir. It is it's a $100 donation for the Politics Done Right t-shirt.
$8.50 a month. Join as a sustainer, and all sustaining pledges, including Jimmy's, thank you for that, really speaks volumes, a very generous sustaining pledge. All of those are going to be matched with a $50 bill from an anonymous donor, and perhaps a few dollars more. We're talking to the local station board, and several members expressed interest in also adding to that total for a matching pledge when you join as a sustainer. And at the end of the day, I'm sure that number is going to be more like $55 or $60 for your sustaining pledge on top of whatever you pledge. So get that t-shirt, get a KPFT t-shirt if it's your bent. But most of all, the biggest thank you, it doesn't take much thought, the biggest thank you is keeping our community radio station in Houston. Come on now, we're just looking for a couple of months worth of sustenance, and that's how we've done it all along. And I'll repeat what I repeated earlier, join as a sustainer, it's making a difference. Next August when it rolls around, well, there may not be a summer sizzle or a summer cruise. I know a lot of you would be really upset not to have Fun Drive, a few more days of Fun Drive every year. But, well, that's the way it goes. That's life. If you join as a sustainer, things like that could possibly happen, and then we won't have a Fun Drive. Egberto, what are we going to do? What are we going to do with the Fun Drive?
Let me tell you a little secret, Sandy. And I'll be honest with our audience. I hate fun drives like you would not imagine. But we know we have to do it. I hate it, but we have to do it.
It used to be, you used to come in, there'd be donuts and kolaches, and people to answer the phone. And it was like a big party most of the day, unless you were one of those programmers, as I was once, with an 11 p.m. start. And the last couple of years that I was doing that shift from 11 to 1 a.m. Friday night into Saturday morning, not only was I doing the broadcasting, but I'd put start the music and go, okay, call now, because I'll run to the other room and answer the phone. So
I remember those days.
Yeah.
I remember that.
Someone to answer the phone. There's always someone at the website there in the form of the donate button. We don't have that issue anymore. So things in that regard have gotten better from a programmer's perspective, a humble programmer's perspective. But what has not changed is the need to pay the bills. We're trying to be really good stewards of your money, of listener money, and pay all the bills. And that's exactly what we've been doing. We're not paying our lawyers, not paying our bills. No, we're doing all that. And we're keeping the license in good order. I want to thank Marlo Blue, if he's listening now, for keeping up with those FCC reporting duties. and all the things that she does to keep us in compliance, along with Howard. You know, we have a small staff, but man, I tell you what, they churn and they burn for all of you to keep this station on the air. Do your part. Do your part. $5 a month. $5 a month. You walk out the door with a $5 bill, you go down to the corner store, you say, hey, give me a small coffee. You might as well turn around and go home. You're out of money, but you got a coffee. 713-526-5738, option 1, or kpft.org. Egberto, take it away.
Thank you very much, Sandy. Shakula hairstylist in the chat. So sorry to hear that you spent all that time in the ER. Your neighbor poisoned your dog. I mean, you know, we have to get rid of people not being their brothers and sisters keepers, man. That is sorrow. That is sad. All right, let's go to Brother Brian. My brother Brian, how you doing this morning, sir? Let's see how before Brian speaks. Wait, Brian. Before Brian speaks, Brian is my brother, but he always have to get under my skin, and he's about to do it right now, I bet. Come on in, Brian. How you doing, brother?
I'm doing fine. Thanks, Jimmy, for the support of the station, first off. So, without that donation, the station might go away. So, here's a good point. You know that about 3% of the journalists in the United States are registered Republicans? Did you know that?
That's all? I didn't know that's all of that. That was I thought it was higher than that.
No. You can check into it. My facts are
I believe you.
Something like that. Yeah. Okay. Now, if you repeat the lie enough, it becomes the truth, right?
Mm-hmm.
We have a sitting president that wanted to beat a black man with a chain, but he's not a racist, right?
Okay.
His own daughter said that it was creepy.
Okay.
No. His own daughter said it was creepy that he wanted to take a shower with her. Okay?
Okay.
Now, he's
all
the
right.
one got a deferment for the military because he had asthma, but he played football. But what does the mass media say? Bone spurs from Donald Trump. Repeat the lie long enough, and it becomes the truth. I'll refrain for a few minutes so you can respond.
Okay. Thank you, Brian, for giving me the opportunity to respond to you. Let me first say, you remember a governor called Wallace in Alabama? The one that got shot. Yeah, the one that got shot, right? Do you know one of his biggest supporters were black people? You know that too, right?
Yes.
All right, and let me tell you why. The problem with me, we were reared a certain way, Brian. All of us were reared a certain way. And give me a little latitude here to talk, because you bring up an important point that I think we need to address. And by the way, Rassi Asadulin says, I had a blast at Coffee with Egberto. Highly recommend to all other Houstonians. Yeah, he took me up on that, have coffee with Egberto, and we went out and had some coffee and some good food in a park. We had a good time. Anyway, so Brian, and the reason I brought that up is, you know what Wallace did? Wallace atoned for his bad behavior, for his racism that was intrinsic to who he was, how he was reared, how he was brought up. That's what society did to Wallace. Wallace saw the light, and Wallace became a changed man. Do I not believe that in the olden days that Biden suffered from what just about every white person in America was reared to be then? Of course, Biden was just like everybody else. But that's not the issue that I'm trying to get across, my dear Brian. I am trying to say there is reason for redemption. There's reason for atonement. And I'm going to tell you something. I think one of the biggest atoners will be, in fact, Biden. Because I'm going to tell a little dirty secret here. I think before a woman, it's hard for a woman on her own to become president, and Hillary proved that. Hillary, the most qualified person couldn't get elected, even though she won the popular vote, but the way our country is undemocratic, she couldn't win. But Kamala is likely going to be president of the United States, not only as a woman, but as a black woman. Because of the way things change, and Biden, brother Biden, who likely had some racist proclivities in his past, would have been the one who laid the pathway for this woman for the world to see this woman in a different light and elect her. I'm trying to say, first of all, that I'm not going to knock everything that you just said, Brian, because a lot of what you said, makes sense. We as progressives tend to give a lot of people passes that are in fact racist. You've heard me say that on this station before. I go to several conferences, progressive conferences and conservative conferences, and I've told you and everyone before, I've gotten a lot better treatment in conservative conferences because they wanted to prove a point. They wanted me to believe they were not racist. I've given the stories and written the blogs about occurrences in progressive spaces before. So I'm not going to knock you on your commentary. I'm just going to say Trump has not atoned. Anything else, Brian, before I jump? I got to go.
No, was
Brian,
it
your turn.
Who was the senator? Yeah. Who was the senator? Richard Byrd. Was a what do they call it? Grand
He was a Grand Ku Klux Klan in West Virginia. You got it. Yes, and he also atoned.
No, he didn't. Who gave a eulogy at his funeral?
I don't remember who did. Clinton, right?
Joe Biden.
Oh, it was Biden. It was Biden. Okay.
Joe Biden.
All right. But
Yeah,
again,
Okay,
Brian, look, like I said, Byrd also came into the Senate, and Byrd did a whole lot of good things. When I talk about atonement, that's what I'm talking about. I have friends that are racist, okay? And many of them have atoned. All right? So let's be clear there, Brian. So look, thank you for the call. Anything else you want to say real quick?
No, just again, repeat the lie long enough and it becomes the truth. Have a
All
good
right, thank
weekend,
you,
everyone. I hope you get the support that you needed to evolve in this station. Thanks and have a good
All
weekend.
right.
Bye.
This is KPFT 90.1 FM Houston. Let's see. And Sandy said, hey, wait, why don't Sandy come on and say it before I go to the other person? Sandy, tell us about journalists.
Yeah, actually, the previous caller had things correct. According to the Washington Post, around 7% of journalists identify as Republicans, but the majority of journalists identify as independents. So there's a third option, and you have to be careful with the wording and how you bias people's view of things. It's not one or the other. There's a third option, and that's where most of the people fall in that are giving you the news. As far as repeating the lie long enough, yeah, well, Hitler knew that. Yep.
Yeah,
and,
sure did. Did.
We have one candidate that holds every Guinness Book record for more lies per minute than anyone else ever, I think. So, folks, Jimmy stands alone. We need support for this program. We're going a few minutes into Democracy Now! This morning because of the urgent need. And this is not the final Friday of the fund drive, by the way. However, it's the penultimate one because next week is the final week of fund drive in total. We're bringing this whole thing down on the 25th. We're trying to reach that $75,000 mark. Currently, we are but $319 away from $20,000. So if someone out there could do $1 a day, put us up over that $20,000 mark, that would be great. But even better, if 3 of you could call up and join in at $10 a month, snag the coffee cup and the beans with it, that would be excellent. You have the option of calling 713-526-5738, 713-526-5738. Hit option 1 or go to kpft.org and in the top right corner, just click the old donate button. It's fast and easy. And on the phone there, when you put in the dollar amount you pledge, you can choose the thank you gift you're eligible for, be it concert tickets, be it a t-shirt, the Mug and Coffee, the Blues Cruise with Nuri Nuri, whatever it is that you choose, it'll be right there. And no need to talk to anyone if you're averse to doing that at this hour. 713-526-5738, option 1, or kpft.org. Egberto, thanks.
All right. Yeah, let's, folks, and I know a lot of you, like, you don't want to leave the program. So you wait till the program. And so for those of you who just don't want to leave the program, remember, as soon as the program is over, you can make that call at 713-526-5738, extension number 1. Remember to tell them it's for Politics Done Right. And likewise, if you go to kpft.org, remember to select Politics Done Right as the program that you're supporting. I see something here that says Joe with an announcement. Come on in, Joe.
Good morning, Alberto. Tomorrow at 5 p.m. at University of Houston Clear Lake, there'll be a showing of a documentary. It's a film following a group of Americans who traveled to Israel and Palestine in 2016, seeking to understand what life is like there. And a very interesting outcome over there, which will be discussed after the film. It's 5 p.m. It's in the Bayou Building. It's the Garden Room, 1510. But if you go and get to the Bayou Building, you'll be able to find it.
Let me hear this again, Joe. You said it's at the University of Houston Clear Lake, correct?
That's right. In the Bayou Building. That's 2700 Bay Area Boulevard in Houston.
And is there also a website that folks can go to at all, or just show up at 7 o'clock? What time again?
Just show. It's 5 o'clock. Show up at 5 o'clock. This is sponsored by Amnesty International and American Voices for Peace. The film will be approximately 1 hour, and there'll be a Q&A afterward at 6:45.
Excellent. Again, folks, give us that address one more time, Joe, because, and before you say that, Joe, folks, we all need to be educated as far as all that is really happening. We cannot just depend on the mainstream media. We cannot just, we have to get diverse voices out there that you can trust and that you can determine on your own. So again, Joe, go ahead and tell me how and where.
All right, it's the University of Houston Clear Lake, 2700 Bay Area Boulevard. I think that's exit 25 or off the Highway 45. It's on the first floor. It's at 5 p.m. and it's about an hour, and there'll be a Q&A afterwards.
Thank you so kindly, Joe. Anything else you want to add to the program before we move on?
Just come and see it. We need the education. Thank you.
Thank you, Joe. We do need the education. Let's jump to Donald. Come on in, Donald, real quick, my dear brother.
Hey, good morning, Alberto. Appleseed, how you doing today? Keep planting them seeds there.
Thank you, my brother. How are you today, sir?
Oh, I'm good. Just everybody needs to know you got to have a plot of land and you got to have fertilizer to plant the seed. And you got to cultivate it, weed it, and let's see what fruit comes out of it. So you keep doing a good job and donate to 90.1 so you can stay on the air and we can have platforms of good music. And that's it. And I'm gonna
thank you, my brother.
So, all righty. Have a good weekend.
I appreciate you, my brother. Okay, folks, we're still just at one donation. I know we can do better than that. Please give us a call at 713-526-5738. Hit extension number 1. Contribute whatever you can. We're concentrating, we're centralizing on asking folks, if you can, $5 a month, $10 a month, whatever you can per month. You just tell them and say, I want to be a part. I want to have agency in KPFT. I want to have agency in Politics Done Right. And you heard what Patrick said. He's going to buy have coffee with Egberto Willis, but he's going to arrange a date so that three of us, I guess it's Donald and Patrick, we're going to drink some coffee. We're going to meet somewhere and drink some coffee together. Why don't you arrange your own and have a coffee with Egberto? We'll have fun. I guarantee you. You heard what my friend Razi Abzadudin said. I had a blast at Coffee with Egberto. Highly recommend to all the other Houstonians. We went out there and we met on 1960, and we drank some coffee. And I don't remember that thing that we ate, but it was really good. Drank some coffee and had a great discussion. It was wonderful. I mean, and all of these things to help KPFT so that we can, it's community. It really is community. And unlike the major stations, we can sit down and talk. And not only can we sit down and talk, but you get access to the air as well, the air that belongs to all of us, the airwaves that belongs to all of us. You see, all these people call in and say their piece, whether they agree with me, disagree, it doesn't matter. That's what we're bringing in. We're really bringing community, and not the thing where we just at each other's throat. Brian calls in here and he rides me all the time, although sometimes he agrees with me. And you know when he agrees with me because he hangs up kind of quickly. But that's what it's all about. We like each other. Doesn't matter, right? 713-526-5738. Let's build the real America, guys. 713-526-5738. Extension number 1. $5 a month, $10 a month, whatever you can. One-time contribution or a monthly contribution. We can do this. We can do this together. We can definitely do this together. Or go to kpft.org, hit that donate button, scroll down to Politics Done Right as a program you're supporting, and let's do it, man. Let's do it. Let me jump to Sandy.
Thank you, Egberto. And again, thanks to Jimmy, who stands alone in supporting Politics Done Right this morning. Appreciate all the people calling up and saying that, they're going to take care of this down the road, and I'm sure you will. It's quick, it's easy. Some of you might be driving right now. Please do not donate while you're driving. Don't multitask. Wait till you're in a safe place. But for those of you listening in that safe place that have never, ever, just have never picked up the phone or the mouse and given to KPFT before, maybe you've been listening now for a year or two. Maybe you've been listening for just a few minutes and you're new to the concept of community radio. Well, KPFT is not new to Houston. It's been here 54 and a half years, and we've never had a single commercial on our airwaves. Never have we been graced with a check from, big corporation for the consideration of airing their commercial. It doesn't work like that. Our money comes from listeners. $5 at a time per month, $10 at a time. Jimmy, thank you very much for an incredible donation this morning, a very healthy, sustaining pledge, monthly pledge. It helps tremendously, especially when you consider that Jimmy's floating the note for everybody listening right now. Come on, do your part. Help out here. $5 a month, a lot of us won't miss that out of our bank account. Even a $20 bill. I walked up to you on the street right now and I said, hey, man, you got $5? I need $5. Want to go get a sandwich or a coffee, as Egberto puts it. I bet 9 out of 10 of you would say, sure, no problem, here's $5. Well, I'm not asking for me. I don't need a sandwich. KPFT needs to pay its bills, however, not just this month, but next month and the month after and the month after that, and so on and so forth. Now, I've been the steward of this station, running the station now for a couple of years, but someone will come along, I'm interim, someone will come along behind me and pick up the yoke and take on the responsibilities. And when that happens, it just makes it a whole lot easier for the next person to continue on and keep our community radio station by your generous act today. Think about it. Think about that little bit of money that we're asking for here. Think about the thank you gift that you might like, be it concert tickets or a t-shirt or a KPFT hoodie. Don't think about a hoodie right now with the temperature being near almost summer conditions every day. However, there'll come a time when you're going to wake up in the morning and Yeah, there'll be frost on the window pane, and don't say I didn't don't say I didn't warn you when your train gets lost and you don't have a hoodie to wear while you're looking for it. Come on now, pick out your thank you gift and do your part in community. Do your part to help us continue this grand experiment in commercial-free, independent media for Houston, Texas. Now, I'm going to say at the third largest city in the country, I don't think Chicago's got much on us. 713-526-5738, option 1, or kpft.org. We're going to be joining Democracy Now! In just a few minutes, so let us thank you all. We're about to move forward with our broadcasting day here. I'm going to throw it back to Egberto and the crew, and again, thank you guys for what you do each and every day. Again, it's these people that come in and make that commitment, that wake up early, that get Egberto on the air, that make sure that KPFT is running, that operate the board, that make sure that the announcements are recorded, that things are scripted through the automation system through the nighttime, that HD2 is running, and HD3. Did I say HD3? I did. We have an HD3 channel that we're bringing on. We're bringing on board here, and still trying to get, making sure all the equipment's going to work right till we really unleash it to everybody. But KPFT, this small community radio station with one paid employee, 3 complete grids, 100,000 watts in the heart of Houston, you bet. We all deserve it. Egberto.
Thank you very much, Sandy. I have a 1 last minute and 50-something second video to play. Very important one again. And then I'm going to go to give Harry 30 seconds, but I got to get this one out. Here we go. Ron Insana pointed out something that is very important. Ron Insana said, I just don't understand why Biden didn't get the credit he deserved, because after all, Biden's economy was much better than Trump's economy. I want you to see this, and then we'll take it on the other side. It's a short one.
Axios is an interesting new poll. It's an online survey that says that voters see Harris as more hopeful on the economy than Biden, which is huge because Trump, which is
both
huge.
Actually.
Yeah, which is huge because usually the Republican gets credit for the economy, and Trump had been getting credit for the economy.
Well, it's what's really interesting about the Trump economy prior to the pandemic. If you look at economic growth and job growth during the first 3 years of the Trump presidency, almost identical to the last 3 years of the Obama presidency. There was really no difference, no daylight between those numbers. The Clinton years were considerably stronger, and the Biden years have been considerably stronger in terms of both job growth and GDP growth. So it is odd that President Biden didn't get much credit for enacting certain pieces of legislation like the CHIPS and Science Act, the Inflation Reduction Act, that have bolstered manufacturing in the U.S., that have increased economic growth beyond what we thought was the potential. And inflation has come down from 9.1% to 2.9%. So we had a big shock in the pandemic, both domestically and globally. And in many cases, it's truly amazing that we are where we are, because most economists did not expect us to be in this position at this time.
In other words, Trump did. There you go. Wanted to hear that. Harry, you got exactly 30 seconds. Let's go get it to my dear brother.
Okay, I'll say this real quick. Brian is incorrect about the if you tell a lie long enough, it becomes the truth. I talked about this with Howard on the business line. It never becomes the truth. It's just people, if they do their research, will know the truth. So, a lot of people don't do their research, so they believe that propaganda and they think it's the truth. I'll say one other thing too about the videos, Roberto. You're absolutely right. Trump does projections like the James Bond film with Columbo and Cristados. Trump
got to go, Harry. Thank you, my brother. Appreciate you. I really do appreciate you. Anyway, folks, before I close, I just need to jump to the studio, and then come back to me real quick at the end, Howard.
Oh, okay. Well, I was just going to say the Joseph Goebbels is the one who was the propaganda minister for Nazi Germany. And he said, tell a lie big enough and long enough, and people will start to believe it. Now, the lie can never become the truth, but the lie can be believed as the truth. So there you go. It's all semantics. And Jack, what you got?
KPFT, the Obi-Wan Kenobi of radio. Feel the force.
Okay.
Thank you so kindly, Jack. Folks, look, I want to first of all tell you, I love you all, callers, listeners, volunteers, donors. Thank you so kindly for what you all have done for this show, for this station. Please give us a call at 713-526-5738. Hit extension number 1. Become a sustainer. $5 a month, $10 a month, $15 a month, whatever you can. 713-526-5738, extension number 1, or go to kpft.org, hit that donate button, and remember to select Politics Done Right as the show that you're supporting. I know a lot of you waited for the end of the show before you're going to want to donate, so please do it as soon as I'm dropping the show right now. But before I drop, remember what we didn't cover on air that was written for you is at politicsdoneright.com/newsletter. We need your continual support. Sandy, thank you for the work you're doing. Howard and Jack, thank you for being there every morning, making sure this stuff goes through. I always want to make sure to uplift what you guys are doing here. Folks, 713-526-5738, extension number 1, or kpft.org. My name is Egberto Willies. This is Politics Done Right, and you guys know how. Oh, before we got one. Thank you, Koshik Patel. Thank you so kindly, Koshik, for coming in. Bring the others in now. Bring the others in right now. We need your support. 713-526-5738, extension number 1, or kpft.org. Select Politics Done Right. My name is Egberto Willies. This is Politics Done Right. Stay tuned for Democracy Now! I am what? Out!
We now join Democracy Now! In progress on KPFT Houston.
Policy book turned into a PR disaster.
The director of Project 2025